What happened during COVID? Because I'm just thinking that, so my mum, she sadly passed away right at the beginning of COVID.
For years, I'd sort of run this business and I'd banged this drum of like, video calls aren't enough. That doesn't provide the same connection. The people that already felt that pain, you know, the people in the long distance relationships, the parents with children in hospitals, adults with parents in intensive care or in care homes, they all understood that a video call didn't cut it, but the rest of the world was kind of like, nah, like that's fine. And then suddenly the whole world was thrown into that position where a video call wasn't enough. My name's Joanna Montgomery. I'm the founder of a business called Little Riot, and we make a product called Pillow Talk, which sends the sound and feeling of your heartbeat to another person.
Wow, that's very different.
Yeah, it's niche. It's a physical product. It's a wristband you wear, and it picks up your heartbeat and sends the real-time sound and feeling of your heartbeat to a little flat device another person has. Most people put it under their pillow when they go to bed at night, and it feels like putting your head on someone's chest.
I love that. I actually love that. Where did this idea come from?
It was actually originally my university project. So I studied interaction design. This was like 15 years ago nearly. And I just, at the time, it was a really exciting time to be building for technology and that intersection of humans and technology. And just very, very quickly, I felt like everything became about the screen. And smartphones came out, and we just became obsessed with screens, with apps, with being hyper-connected all the time. And I thought, well, this is cool, but where's this going, and what's the trajectory of that, and how will it impact our relationships with each other, but also ourselves when we are super connected by devices all the time?
It's a really interesting idea because like life is all about connection.
Yeah.
Right. And I know, obviously, it's sad to see people when they are lonely and stuff, but I'm just thinking like the idea of if I could have my nan lives alone, she doesn't want to live with anyone else. But like if she could have feel our heartbeat or something like that, it's a really cool idea to think that we could be close but so far.
Yeah. So our initial market was couples and long distance relationships. So we launched a consumer product to mostly couples. That's in like 80 something countries now. And then a few years ago, we not so much pivoted, but gained an additional arm of the business in children's hospitals. So children in intensive care, premature baby units, we send our parents, usually the mothers, but not always, we send their heartbeat into them to comfort them when they're in hospital.
It's amazing. What's have you found the use? Obviously, you said the use case has quite changed from what it started as. Do you see that changing again, or do you see it going? Is there like another industry you want to get into with this? Or
I think the thing that has persevered through all of it, and sort of the thread that holds it all together, is that human connection is like the root of everything we have. And sometimes it really amazes me that, you know, it's been nearly 15 years of that product, and it's changed very little. And when you think about how much the world has changed in that time, how much technology has changed, it's crazy to think that still, you know, it's done one thing, it does it very well, and that has been the thread all the way through. And it's almost becoming even more relevant again now that we're in this, you know, this surge of AI and what that looks like, and the sort of questions around that. And yeah, it's kind of almost having a sort of resurgence of importance, is how in this super connected world and with all these artificial ways of feeling connected, how do we actually retain that human connection with the people that we love?
What happened during COVID? Because I'm just thinking that, so my mum, she sadly passed away right at the beginning of COVID, and she was in hospital, and we had one phone call a day. Like it was really difficult to be in contact at all. And I'm just thinking of like, I'd love to have this, because it would be just being able to know that my mum could feel home.
Yeah.
Do you know, how did it change during COVID? Did you see like an uptick in sales or?
Yeah, the pandemic was a funny one for us. It was quite sort of bittersweet, because obviously great for business, but it's so unfortunate that it happened in that way, because for years I'd sort of run this business and I'd banged this drum of like, video calls aren't enough, and it's that doesn't provide the same connection. And the people that already felt that pain, the people in the long distance relationships, the parents with children in hospitals, adults with parents in intensive care or in care homes, they all understood that a video call didn't cut it, but the rest of the world was kind of like, nah, like that's fine. And then suddenly the whole world was thrown into that position where a video call wasn't enough. And yeah, very bittersweet that after all that time, suddenly everyone was like, oh yeah, you're right. Like video calls, yeah, we stopped short of human connection with technology when it came to screens.
Sorry, excuse me. Has it changed after COVID? Because at the time everyone's like, oh, it's all about family, it's all about being together, but it very quickly got forgotten after. Like, we've all been through this pandemic together, and now I feel like people just aren't as kind as they were during that period.
Yeah. I think the thing that the pandemic did give us was it just really accelerated the adoption in those environments. So pre-COVID, we'd run some pilots with hospitals, with care homes, with palliative care centres, but kind of the sales cycle and the convincing establishments like that to try new technology or passing all their risk assessment and their cybersecurity measures that was a steep hill to climb. And then in the pandemic, suddenly we realized actually maybe those things weren't so important, and it was more important that we had the things that that people need, that their customers need, that patients need. So suddenly a lot of people were quite willing to use the technology as it was, and that opened a lot of doors there. And yeah, I'm pleased to say that's sort of continued, and certainly in terms of the kind of those places that can really benefit from having Pillow Talk for their customers or their patients, they're much more open to.
Why are you so driven?
Why am I so driven? I don't know. My dad runs his own business, so I kind of came from a family where like that was normal, and I grew up watching my dad be in control of his life, and I probably got a little bit of that from there. But I think as a person, I don't know. I think for a long time I was driven by a need to prove people wrong. I'm kind of through that, but.
What's some of the biggest challenges you've had then?
So many. I had such a long journey. Like the product started as my university project and went viral on the internet. So I was 21, really naive, thought I was going to graduate and get a job. Suddenly this thing I'd made that was just an idea was all over the internet, and I had all these emails from people saying, when can we buy this? And I was young and naive, and I thought, if all these people want to buy it, I'll make it. Famous last words. So straight out the gate, I was trying to build a hardware business before anyone outside of China built hardware. It was kind of before like startups were a thing. I had a real like uphill battle. Like the technology wasn't there for what we were trying to build. An investor once told me people would never wear technology on their wrists. So just a very long, persistent slog of always believing that this needed to exist and knowing the value it brought to people that were in those very vulnerable life situations. If you're away from someone you love, if you have a child in hospital, if you have a dying parent, those sort of more vulnerable edges of life are where there is no technology to support it. And typically people don't really like to design in those spaces because, they're fragile and there's a lot to get wrong. So
is there advice that you'd give to someone trying to maybe break into, who started a business and is looking to grow it? Is there any advice that you'd
The biggest piece of advice I always give everyone is just to trust your gut instinct. And I think our gut instinct is there for a reason, and it interprets all these, tens of thousands of signals we get all the time, and that niggly feeling we can't shake. The times I've ignored the niggly feeling have been the biggest mistakes I've made. I did an awful investment deal when I was quite young because I let somebody that I thought was older and smarter than me tell me I was just young and inexperienced. And on the flip side, the times where, there were lots of times it would have made sense to give up, made sense not to continue. All of the data was saying, this doesn't make sense, this is crazy, this is too hard. And there was just this little thing in me that made me want to keep pushing, and I'm really glad I listened to that, because ultimately that's what's led to where it is today.
Yeah, I love that. And you got 2 minutes in front of the stage of 10,000 people.
Mm-hmm. Good question. I think today we live in a world that prioritizes efficiency and optimization and moving fast, and what can we strip away to make everything more efficient. We're always looking for ways to remove friction, especially in technology and in business. We're looking for the easiest path, the quickest path. We live in a world where we can pull out our phone and we can have food brought to us in 10 minutes. We can have a car turn up at our door. And I think we have also tried to apply that to human relationships. We do it with dating apps. Dating's become very disposable. If you're on a bad date, you always wonder, oh, should I just, is something a bit easier just to swipe away? But the things that are worth having in life require perseverance, commitment, putting in the time, compromise, working through things. And I think we need to remember that the reason we're all here and the thing that makes life so rich is those things, and we should make sure we don't lose sight of those in pursuit of speed, optimization, efficiency. Otherwise, we'll end up with a very fast, efficient world, but where we all feel completely empty.
I love that, especially in this world now that we live in. It's so you see it day in day out.
Yeah, and you see it a lot with like AI. Like in Japan, Japan's population is dropping because more people are choosing. There are so many people in relationships with artificial girlfriends, boyfriends. They think they're getting enough from a virtual relationship, that they don't need real human interaction. And I just think, aside from destroying populations, like where's that going to go? What does that mean for humanity and for the development of us? And yes, it's quite terrifying when you think about it.
Plus of time, is there anything that I haven't asked you that you'd like me to ask you? Or anything you want to talk about?
I have a strange and niche fun fact, which is that I used to be Britain's strongest woman.
Really? Oh
Yeah.
my god, okay.
And something people often ask that's quite interesting is how do they connect together, or what do they like? Are there any elements from that that's not really a question, but maybe you have a question about that.
Yeah, I said, tell me about that for one. Like, how did that happen?
I think as a person, I just don't really do anything by halves, and I, wanted to lose a bit of weight, get a bit fitter. I got a bit carried away. Happened to train in a gym that was run by the former Britain's strongest man, so there was always a lot of people around pulling trucks and flipping tires, and you can only hang around that for so long before you think, kind of fancy that. So entered a competition on a whim, came third, didn't realise it was a qualifier for Britain's Strongest Woman, and went the first year, just didn't want to come last, came fourth, which meant I was the first person off the podium. So decided I had to be on the podium next year, so went back the next 2 years and won it. Smashed it.
And that's amazing. How does that tie into what you're doing now? Does it at all?
I had a bit of a revelation a few years ago when actually on a stage in front of hundreds of people, somebody asked the question of how did they, how did I manage to become so good at that whilst also running a business? And I realised the times I was really good in my weightlifting career were the times where my business was most out of control. And I think it's because in strength training, if you put in the work, you get the results. So if you go to the gym and you do X reps at whatever weight, you will get stronger. It's almost guaranteed. Whereas in business, putting in the work doesn't always translate to hard work. So I think I kind of didn't quite use it as a crutch, but definitely was using it as an outlet to feel like hard work could translate into progress. But just as a life skill, I think what it taught me and what that discipline taught me is the importance of putting in the reps, showing up even when you feel like you don't want to, finding a way to get it done even when it's not optimal, and yeah, just remaining committed to the outcome.
Thank you so much for your time. I'm sorry we don't
Thank
have
you for having me.
any longer. It would be lovely to speak to you, but hopefully this is not going to be the last time.